What's up, everybody? How you all doing? Hopefully you can all hear me okay. And let me just double check because I changed my mic settings recently. It looks like it's okay. So we should be all good. And how you all doing today? Just a heads up, my camera is playing up. So if I disappear and you can't see me, but you can still hear me, you know why. It's because I don't know, OBSBot cameras are fancy and expensive and not that good quality. So I don't know. We'll see. How's everybody doing? Let me check in with the chat, and then we've got some announcements. Then we're going to do some web stuff, and then after that, I'm going to go to bed because it's usually the end of the day for me. So so all good. Audio's good. Cheers. Thank you, Sham. What is this? What's a snow bib? I don't understand what. We don't get snow in our country. We do. We get about this much snow, like about 3 millimeters, and the whole country shuts down. But I don't know what a snow bib is. Do you mean dungarees? Because I'm not wearing dungarees. That's a whole different thing. But yeah, all good. So before I forget, we have some upcoming live training, and it's with Heath. So you get to do the Active Directory live. So attacking, defending, Active Directory. Now I've sat through this course twice. It's so good. Whenever I can, I always sit in and listen in, because honestly, just hearing like some of the tips and tricks and like the stories that Heath has are really, really insightful, along with if like, even if you're going into Active Directory and you don't have like a really solid grasp of it, you're going to go get a bunch of skills on how Active Directory works, what are the common attacks, why those attacks work, etc., and a bunch of awesome labs. All of the labs are hosted, and yeah, it's just a really good course, especially for somebody like me who's like, I struggle with Active Directory. That's like one of my weaknesses. Well, to be honest, everything that's not a web application is my weakness. But you know, it's a really good live course. Like I say, I've done it twice now, so yeah, definitely recommend. All right, let me come in and see whether we have a few questions. Then we're going to do a box. And it feels like I haven't been on stream in a while. We've had Andrew on stream, which is a lot of fun. We had the New Year's stream. Yeah, it's been I don't know, a busy January. That's the thing. All right, let's see what we've got in terms of questions. I'm just checking in with the chat now. So I don't think these are not, these are suspenders is something different. We call them braces in the UK. It's I don't know, a classic look going back to whatever era this is. But I couldn't find my belt this morning, so here we are, me wearing braces. Braces? Can't remember what they're called, but yeah, it's all good. Where's Elfie gone? Oh, I've busted my back as well. If I move out of the way, you can also see Poppy, like here. There she is. She's chilling in the background on her little throne, watching, and Elfie's running around somewhere. So what time is it in the UK? It is just gone 5:10, so 5 p.m. And we usually stream for like an hour, 2 hours sometimes, and yeah, all good. I'm good. I woke up with my shoulder blade is killing me. So if you see me like moving and like, you know, groaning like an old man, that's just, I don't know. I think it's my rhomboid. I was at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu yesterday, and I don't know, like maybe I got guillotined. I don't really remember, but I didn't sleep very well on it. And my rhomboid just needs, I think I just need a sports massage on it, and then we're all good. So am I playing the CTF? Not at the moment. I don't really have time, but I am thinking of entering there is a big CTF going on at the moment, which some of my colleagues are doing. The 0 Day Initiative, the Pwn to Own automotive one. which you should definitely check out. And also Sneak have one coming up as well. So there's a lot of CTF stuff happening. Okay, snow bibs are like snow pants with coveralls. I do have some of these because I snowboard. That makes sense, but that's not what I'm wearing in my office while streaming. And it's not even that cold outside. It's like, I don't know, it must be like 5 degrees here, 5 degrees C, whatever that is, and everybody else's translated degree temperature a little bit above freezing. So all good. All right. Oh, which one? Poppy's on here, and then the ginger one. Oh, I can't see. My head's in the way. I can't move out of the way. There we go. No, you can't see it. I'll disturb her later. The ginger one is called Elfie. So there we go. Let me keep scrolling down. What's up, Mary Ellen? How you doing? Good to see you, as always. Oh, which course TCM for learning web pen testing? Okay, I can actually answer this one because I authored all of the courses. So if you're just starting out and you want to focus on web app pen testing or bug bounty, then do the practical bug bounty course. If you already have a bit of experience or you've spent a lot of time on like TryHackme, Hack the Box and stuff like that, then the practical web hacking is like the intermediate one. And then we also have the advanced web hacking as well, which is kind of going module by module. And I'm working on a code review module at the moment. But don't rush to do the advanced one, because the thing with the advanced level course is it assumes a lot of knowledge, for one. And two, advanced topics tend to be more edge cases. So if you're just starting out, I'm going to be teaching you stuff that you're not going to find as often, or like things that only come up in certain situations. And so that's not going to serve you well. Like definitely, like, you know, go over the fundamentals first and then build on top of that. So just because it says advanced in the title doesn't mean it's going to be like secret techniques. There are no like random secret techniques. It's more just like edge cases, weird situations, different configurations, attacks that are kind of more rare, starting like research and stuff, like finding prototype pollution in npm modules and stuff like this. So, but yeah, that's the way to go. Whoops, sorry, I think I just hit the banner, and I don't know how to get it back, so apologies for that. Britt can fix that. I think. All good. It's funny. So when I was living in Tokyo, if you've ever seen Money Heist, a lot of my Japanese colleagues think that I look like the guy from Money Heist. I wonder if I have a picture. I don't think I look like him, but let me see if I can find one. And they call him the professor, of course. Money Heist. Whoops. Money Heist professor. Let me switch this. Do I look like this guy? I mean, I need some like Dwight Schrute glasses, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't really see the resemblance, but maybe like, oh no, it's somebody else now. Anyway, that was a fun joke when I was living in Tokyo. So there we go. Occasionally people would call me the professor from the TV show. That and Live Overflow. Everybody thinks I look like a Live Overflow as well. I just have a very generic look, so I look like a lot of people apparently. All right. Any security questions? Let me scroll down. Oh, here's one. Okay. So, beginner in ethical hacking with a software engineering background. How can I find people to study and do CTFs with? Yeah, this is a good question. So, obviously, I think the best place to go is Discord. Generally speaking, there's lots of groups on Discord. Now, TCM Discord, we don't do a ton of CTFs, but there are people doing CTFs on there. But there is a Discord called CTF Time. Sorry, not that one. Imaginary CTF. And they have a daily challenge as well, because I always get the daily challenge ping. So Imaginary CTF is a good one. There's probably CTF players on Fox Hunt. Yeah, I think this is the best thing to do, is just go in and start asking around. But a lot of like security Discord channels will have CTF channels where you can start talking and finding people. CryptoCat's Hackerspace, I think, is also a good place. There's a lot of people doing CTFs in there, and there's also a dedicated CTF channel as well. If you don't know who CryptoCat is, it's Jonah from Integrity. He does like YouTube. You can find him if you search CryptoCat as well. Trying to think of other places where people are doing CTFs. Let me scroll down my maybe the Red Team Alliance Discord maybe does. I'm not super active in there, so I'm not sure, but probably there's some CTF players in there. Who else? Foxhounds, Red Society Club. I know Tyler Ramsby, he also does CTF stuff, so maybe they do like group stuff as well. Yeah, there's loads of places. So yeah, just jump into a Discord channel, ask around, and if you vibe with the people, do some CTFs with them. If it doesn't go so well, just try the next one. That's, you know, there's so many of them, and there's such a low barrier to entry, I think, to like start talking to people, that you can be choosy, and you can find a bunch of people who you like and get on with. Get on with. I can't even talk today. What keyboard? So I have the, oh my God, I've just pulled a load of stuff over on my desk because my Keychron, things are flying. There we go. Keychron, whatever size this is. It's okay. So I quite like it, and I like the keys. I think I've got blues on mine, and the only thing is I do have to clean it out about once a month. The cat hair actually stops it from working, and it's quite susceptible to the keys getting like, I mean, all keyboards need cleaning at some point, right? But this one in particular, for some reason, stops working more regularly, and it's fine. I just pop the keys off and I take the cat hair out and I clean it, and it works perfectly fine again. But like with other keyboards I've only had to clean them once every 6 months, for example, whereas this is like a monthly job. One of my keys just goes. So so yeah, good old Keychron has been doing all right. I have a Archis one and a couple of other keyboards that I brought back from Japan, but I'm currently using the US layouts for programming, because I'm doing a lot of programming at the moment. And I think the US layout is the best for programming. The Japan layout's not too bad. The UK layout is garbage. Don't ever use a UK keyboard. It's just so dumb. So sorry, England. I don't know what is like. I don't know why we decided to lay it out the way we did, but it's honestly, it's just terrible. It's useless. And I don't know the other ones. I used a Spanish keyboard once, and that was okay. I still think the US one is the most logical if you're trying to write code and stuff like this, though. Yeah, right. So security questions. Who would have thought? They're so boring. It's all good. You can ask me anything you like. I'm pretty open. You know, so there you go. So we're all good. API, web, mobile, thin, thick client testing is enough for AppSec role. Yeah, I think like there's obviously a lot of transferable skills in there. So if you've done testing across all of those like platforms, like if you've done API testing, web testing, mobile testing, and you're going in for an AppSec role, yeah, for sure. I think that's loads of experience. Obviously, that's like on the surface level. If it's like a really senior technical role in, like you're going to work for Gradle and it's very JavaScript heavy, very Java heavy, and you've never touched that, and you've done like, you know, like Fast API or something, then yeah, there's obviously like not a matchup there. But I think generally speaking, if you have a bunch of experience testing a load of different technologies, then yeah, go for it. And you know, you're never like 100% when you go in for a job. Like you're always going to learn new things and new technologies, and transferable skills are what's going to make it a nice, smooth transition. So you're all good. Off topic galore. Yeah, all good. How would I bypass FortiWeb? Is FortiWeb, do you mean like the Fortinet firewall, or is FortiWeb a specific technology that Fortinet have? So let me check, because I know they have tons of different projects, tons of different products, and they all have 40 at the start. So Fortinet Web Application Firewall and API Protection. Oh yeah, FortiWeb, Web Application Firewall protects business critical assets. So for this Web Application Firewall, I don't actually see it all that often. I know there are some CVEs and stuff for it that I've seen kicking around. I don't want to say like it's not popular or something like this, but I don't see the Fortinet firewalls that for web applications that often at all. But honestly, I would start with, can you bypass with file size or request size, sorry, which is probably the easiest way. So just add 8, 16, 32 kilobytes of data to your payload, to a payload that you know is going to be blocked, and then see whether that bypasses it. So that's your easiest bypass, I think. Otherwise, assuming like you're on a bug bounty, not on a pen test where you can just ask them to whitelist your traffic and then you can compare the results with and without it to kind of speed up your testing, you can start looking at evasion techniques. So you can start looking like character encoding, double encoding, sending payloads via like a GET in the URL rather than in the body and things like that, and trying to trick the web application firewall. But yeah, to begin with, I'd do all the basic checks, like, you know, can you prepend a load of data to just make it bypass automatically, and then kind of go from there. But it also depends on the application as well. So for example, if you're testing a WordPress application and you know what plugins are installed, spin it up locally, install the plugins and test them locally without the firewall, and then run the same tests against the firewall. That's something that I think a lot of people overlook, is that especially on like Docker Hub and stuff, you can find loads of Dockerized applications that are not open source, but they are open source because you can get the Docker container, you can spin it up and you can go inside the Docker container. So lots of closed source applications that you're attacking in the web world are readily available on Docker Hub. So that's something to think about if you're doing research and trying to find CVEs and things like this. It's a nice trick to get access to closed source applications. Oh, what's best, web hacking or Android hacking? Well, I mean, probably like 80% of Android hacking is like web hacking anyway, because a lot of apps are just, so I'm just gonna put my phone on silent. A lot of apps are just web apps these days. But I mean, for me, I'm like a bit of a web purist. If you enjoy taking on Android apps, do that. I don't think either is better. I think there's less competition in the bug bounty space for things like mobile applications like Android apps. So if you're doing bug bounty, I think breaking into mobile is probably what I would do. But for me, I just like web applications. So, you know, that's just my personal preference. I don't think one is better than the other, but you know, it's all good. This might be a question for Andrew Prince, but let's see if I can answer. I'm a SOC analyst for almost 18 months now, doing threat hunting to create new correlation rules at the moment, but I want to improve at creating projects like SOAR. Do you think I should learn programming? Yeah, so I think the big thing is when we're looking at things like SOAR and trying to like automate responses and stuff like that, having like some fundamentals of like I'd say scripting rather than programming, but understanding like conditionals and being able to write a bit of Python, or being able to like write like iRules and firewalls and stuff like this, I think will take you a long way. And also it's going to help you when you're troubleshooting as well, massively. So if you put in a bunch of new rules or a bunch of new automations, then and something goes wrong or something doesn't trigger, having a little bit of programming or scripting knowledge is going to really help you troubleshoot that. So don't go nuts with it. Don't be like, oh, I need to spend 3 years learning to program and I need like a master's degree. You don't, but like 15, 20 minutes a day working through some courses. So if you have zero programming, go through like a beginner's course. But if you've done a little bit before, a little bit here and there, 25 minutes or 30 minutes a day for just do it for 2 months is going to really help, I think, for sure. And it's going to be another skill that is just going to pay dividends for years and years to come. It's just going to be useful. Even if you're not like specifically writing code, just being able to quickly recognize what some code does, even if it's like in a language that you don't necessarily know, you can kind of get an idea for what's going on, and then you can troubleshoot that really quickly. So I think that's a really big thing, is like, it's just a skill that keeps giving. Same as networking skills, like being able to understand how computer networks work, how computers talk to each other, how different protocols work. Super useful skill. Where can I test my OSINT skills? I mean, you can just take any images you want and test yourself. I mean, there's obviously like the GeoGuessrs and things like this, but I don't know. Try and source some interesting subjects, or try and track some interesting people or some interesting topics, and then create a folder on it and start studying it. I think that's probably the best way to go. I think if Angie's in the chat, she's usually down as Dirtbag in like Leet speak. Angie will be able to give you some good advice because she's like a OSINT master. But for me, yeah, I think just pick a topic or pick a target and just start doing it. You could be like, I want to know everything there is to know about like every C-level executive at Microsoft. And then start finding out, you might find the floor plans to their house or something crazy. I know somebody who went into an interview once and they did find floor plans for their interviewers' houses, just using OSINT. So that's why that popped to mind. But like, yeah, pick an interesting target. And if you're thinking like of an external pen test and you're going for like whaling attacks and stuff like that, being able to track down executives or heads of infrastructure, heads of IT, stuff like this, that's really useful. And that can be good practice. Oh yeah, CryptoCat will post the Integrity monthly challenges, which are always quite hard, but quite fun. So definitely worth checking out as well. All right, how are we doing for time? All right, one more question, and then we'll start. We'll start going into today's box. Do you have to master programming to learn ethical hacking? Definitely not. What do I think is best to learning ethical hacking? So Heath does a really good post every year, like how to start ethical hacking 2024, 2025, etc., etc. Programming skills definitely help. They're really useful. But I think same as like the previous question that I answered, don't go nuts. If you spend all of your time programming, you're never going to learn like pen testing or hacking or anything else, because it's a huge endeavor in itself. But knowing the basics of scripting and stuff really helps. And honestly, if you're starting from zero, courses that's what they're there for. They're designed to help you get started very quickly, get up to speed on a lot of key topics. Take the PEH or something equivalent, I think is the best way to go. All right, let's do this box. So today's box, I'm going to come back to some more questions. I can see there's tons in there. They're flooding in today. So I appreciate them all, of course. I'll get to as many as I can, of course. But if I just chat the whole time, then we're not going to get through. We're not going to get through anything practical. So we're all good. Here we go. There's me looking up money heist. Let's bring up, I'm pretty sure this is a web box. So let's find out. and it's spinning up. All right. Okay, here we go. So let's actually just scan the box very quickly, just in case there's something that we miss. And also, we don't know what port anything's running on. Host seems down. Yeah, that's a good start. I mean, it might still be spinning up. We'll see. Oh, wait, no. Okay, it's been a while since I did. I messed this up. But this is going back to like the whoops. What's my sudo password? This is going back to like 2023 streaming Alex, where I don't even know how to connect to a VPN. Oh, that was quick. Let's just run a quick scan all ports. But it looks like 8080 is open, so we can start looking at that. Let's open our browser. Ooh, error loading extension. Could not load background. I don't really care about backgrounds, Burp Suite. I'll be honest. That's fine. You don't need to tell me. You can just do your thing. Oh yeah. So we're running on 8080. There we go. Cat pictures. This is it. My new favorite box, just because there's a ginger cat and a white and gray cat, which kind of looks like Poppy and Elfie if they were the right breed. But yeah. Okay. So please submit your feedback regarding your products. There's no buttons here. Let's have a quick look under here just to see. Static images, and then a link to /submit feedback. Let's just run a search on this quickly to make sure that we don't miss anything crazy. Looks like these are the only two ports that are open. So search -u. Let's see what this comes back with, and then we can start going into it. All right, let me see whether we have some questions while we wait for this to run. Oh, is there any website that helps you find new blog posts related to hacking from different platforms? Yeah, hold on. Let's go Pentester land. Whoops. Oh my God. That's why I don't like Google anymore. I can't remember. It might just be like pentesterland.com, but you've got all of this like what is this? Get out my way, bulletproof. I don't know who you are. Yeah, so check out Pentesterland. It's a pretty good place for write-ups from different platforms and blog posts and things like this. Yeah, if you want to see like different things, then this is good. Zero Day Fans is also pretty good. Like this. So if you go to zerodayfans.com, you can find loads of stuff here as well. So I think these two are pretty useful. I used to keep up with the news a lot in terms of like I would read the news, like I'd read a blog post every day and I'd check these out every day. Not so much recently, just because, you know, like, I don't know, time and effort. But yeah, hopefully those are useful. Yeah, pentest.land is this one. So all good. Ooh, looks like we've got flag.txt, but a 401. So we're unauthorized. But let's verify. Yeah, 401 unauthorized. So here, we have a couple of different things to think about. And let's treat this like CTF, because people are, I mean, it is a CTF for one, but people are asking about CTF. So I'm going to kind of like be like the CTF mindset. I have two things. So one, I know what my target is. I know that I need to grab flag.txt. I know that it's a web application. We have this feedback functionality. So there's a few different things that we need to consider here. So when we submit this, we get a submit and we get thanks for your feedback. It will be evaluated shortly by our staff. So their feedback isn't reflected back to us, which is, that's fine. It might be in a database. So we might test for SQL injection. It says here on the CTF that it's going to be evaluated by the staff. So we're going to test for cross-site scripting. We might if it's going to be viewed by like a headless browser or a bot or something like this, then we might want to think about things like also template injection and things like this. I don't think it's going to be that, just because one, the box is tagged as easy, and two, we've got no way to verify our payload our side. So I think it's going to be something simple, and I'm going to guess that it's cross-site scripting to try and either take over the accounts and then log in and see the flag, or grab the flag and send it back to us. I think the latter, because we haven't found a login form yet. So even if I steal like somebody's cookie, for example, where am I going to use the cookie? I mean, maybe I can send the cookie and just refresh this page, and maybe like magically an admin page comes up. But more often than not, you'll see like a login button or a register button, and then you can steal the cookie, and then you're like, oh, now I'm an admin, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of like my mindset currently, is like we have a couple of different avenues to explore. And usually, if I was doing like a CTF or a test or like a pen test, I have my own, I use Obsidian for my notes usually, and I actually have like a checklist and a bunch of templates that I use for testing, so that, because I bounce around quite a lot, to stop me bouncing around too much. So what I'd be like, okay, so 401 bypass, and then injection on submit feedback. And then I'll think of like, okay, so what am I going to do for these? And I'll make sure that I actually do them, because otherwise I'll be like, okay, let's say we're going to use custom headers to do a 401 bypass. I could probably easily lose an hour of testing just doing this. But actually, if I think about 401 bypass, I'm going to do this. Maybe I'm going to do verb tampering or something like this. I can come up with a list of checks that I can do very quickly, and then I can keep moving, rather than spending a whole day being like, is X original URL a 401 bypass header? Am I going to do 127.0.0.1? Am I going to do localhost? Am I going to try and fuzz it for internal IP addresses? Am I going to do like IPv6 localhost bypass with like the colons? Like, it goes, you could test so many things, but it's a complete waste of time. You've got to stay like on track is my main point. And I think a lot of people feel like this. They get stuck because there's so many things that you can check for. And Elfie, can you stop climbing the wall? This cat, honestly, like, I don't know what's wrong with her. She's just wild. Elfie. Yeah. Okay. She's climbing. It's fine. She'll be on top of the door soon, and I'll have to rescue her. But that's part of looking after cats. Yeah. So the question is, sorry for the background noise. She's now down climbing the wall. How to get good at hacking? I think Ping's response is practice, lots and lots of practice. If you're just starting out, read lots of write-ups, do lots of boxes, absorb as much information as you can, and then start developing like a methodology. But yeah, it's it's a skill, just like everything else. Like, if you want to learn a language, you got to practice. If you do Duolingo every day for 10 years, you're not going to be able to speak that language. If you practice on Duolingo and then you go and practice with a friend, so you get some knowledge from the app, and then you actually converse with somebody, you're actually going to learn the language. And unfortunately, we don't always do the practice part. Sometimes we do the learning part, but unless you try it and use it, you're wasting your time, basically. So and yeah, so that's basically it. All right, so let's try and do this. So HTTP history, here's the flag request. We're just going to try a couple of things. So let's just try something like x original URL 127.0.0.1 like this. Still get unauthorized x forwarded 4. There are a bunch of these. We could fuzz them, but I'm just trying, like, I thought I'd give a couple of basic ones. Just a quick go. I don't actually think this is the way, because if this was the way and we got the flag, the box is over, and that would be like a very short challenge. But yeah, it seems like we're still unauthorized. Let's try method not allowed. Puts patch. Oops, head. Unauthorized options. Oh, we get the headers back, but we don't get the content. We can also see, interesting, that it's a Python box as well. I wonder if we can just delete the flag. This would be funny. And then, like, we just have to reset the box. Yeah, 405. So here, like, yeah, there are more tests to do. But I think in terms of like 401 bypasses, like, I'm happy with the tests I've done, and then I can move on. Maybe I'll come back to it if I don't find anything else more fruitful. But this was kind of like a, maybe it's going to work, maybe it doesn't. I wasn't convinced that this is the way. So let's try this one. Let's go to here. And the interesting thing here is that we can't see the results. So what we could do is we could do some basic like XSS, so like HTML and cross-site scripting injections. So if we do image source equals like this, and then we just pull up collaborator, get started, copy our collaborator address to the clipboard, http:// and submit this. If this page does get loaded, hopefully we'll see something in here, but we might not. We'll see. Doesn't look like it. I missed out the source equals. It would help if it would help if I'm not an idiot. Okay, so this is our payload currently. So I just did source like this, which is not going to work. Let me copy and paste this. Okay, we got some traffic. So I'm going to give you all like, let's make this interactive. I'm going to give you like 20 seconds while I check in with the questions. What's weird about this, the information we've just collected here? So we've got 2 requests coming in from this payload where we've got image source equals, and we've just got our collaborator payload. And this is an interesting insight into the infrastructure of TryHackme. So while that's happening, I'm just going to skim through the chat and see how everybody's doing. Oh yeah, this is a good quote from Heath. Start learning with what you enjoy the most. And then I think, like, don't really stop. Like, obviously, like, there are things that you should, like, other skills you should pick up that you might not enjoy as much, but honestly, just do what you enjoy, and then you're all good. Yeah, this is one thing. The source IP addresses are a little bit odd. And yeah, Rubius is spot on as well. So we've got DNS requests, but no HTTP requests. So what I suspect is that this is coming not from our target machine, so 1010, and these are 2 DNS requests. And I assume that our target can't reach out to the internet over HTTP. And that's why we're only getting these DNS requests and we're not getting HTTP requests. So if we're on bug bounty and we're attacking this target, we can't trigger HTTP requests and then listen to them because our target isn't allowed to reach out over HTTP. We could maybe exfiltrate information over DNS, for example, but we can't use HTTP requests. Now, if you're on a VPN or connected to the target, or if you're inside like we are at the moment, probably what we can do is Python 3-m http.server. Let's do 8081. Whoops, can't spell Python. What we can probably do is, I suspect it's allowed to reach out to this. And let's copy this to, let's see whether it comes through. Did I do the right? Hold on. Oh yeah, I did 8081. Okay, cool. Let's see what happens. It's probably not going to work. We'll see. Oh, there we go. Okay, we got something. So locally, it can reach out to our machine, but obviously it can't reach out externally. So we have some limitations here. And this is really, really important in terms of like, yeah, okay, we can just move forward with our CTF and not think about it. But when you move onto bug bounty or real world targets or web app pen testing, where you've got like firewalls and internal infrastructure and external infrastructure and using a VPS, and you've got loads of crazy stuff happening, you need to like think about the limitations, because it's quite easy to just skim over stuff and be like, oh yeah, it works on TryHackme, so it doesn't matter. But there's a lot of other moving parts once you move away from CTF. So this is just something interesting that we should think about. And obviously, since we're using Collaborator here, Collaborator is basically kind of useless for us at the moment because we're not going to be able to get HTTP requests out to here. But obviously, it's a very useful tool generally. But it also means we can't use things like webhook.site or interact.sh and other like request bins, basically, where we can send requests and analyze them, for example. So we know that we have cross-site scripting, or at least we know we have HTML injection here. It's likely we have like, we're going to be able to just get cross-site scripting. So let's try this. And first up, the way we want to get this flag is in a few different steps. First, we want to create like a proof of concept, which we've kind of done. So we know that we can like exfiltrate information. We want to be able to see whether we can actually grab the flag. So we're going to write a short script to be able to grab the flag and see whether we get 200 OK on it. And if we do, then we'll continue. And then what we're going to try and do is then process that and then exfiltrate the flag as well. And we might run into some issues along the way on like, different security controls, filtering, cores, all that good stuff. But we're going to take it like one step at a time, rather than being like, this is my final payload where I like fetch the flag and then and then I like send to my IP and then I'm like, this doesn't work. It's better to do it step by step and try and like verify each step at the same time. So let's see whether we can actually get fetch working. So I think we can just do fetch like this and then grab our IP address, which is here like this. And I want to do 8081 and let's do test equals success like this. And the reason I want to do this is I want to see whether we're going to have to, like, we could like start doing image source equals X on error equals and put all of our JavaScript in here and do like our fetch in here. But actually, if we can just use the scripts, it's going to be a little bit easier and a little bit cleaner. So let's verify whether this works or not. I'm just going to go back so I still have my payload. And I'm going to put this on here as well. Yeah, and it works. So we get test equals success. So, wow, the chat is wild today. I'm gonna okay, we'll do the next little bit and then I'll answer a bunch more questions because I can see so many pinned questions and some really good conversation. Like, I love it when you guys are chatting and sharing knowledge because honestly, there's so many experienced people in here as well. So don't neglect each other's advice and insights. Okay, so we can make fetch requests. That's useful. Now what we want to do is see whether we can make this request and then let's see if we can do it internally, grab flag.txt, and then if that returns a 200, okay, instead of a 401, then it'll send a response back to us and we can see whether we can actually manage to fetch the flags. So let's try this. And again, we're going to have to troubleshoot this. Well, not troubleshoot, but be mindful of this. Like maybe requests to 127.0.0.1 are blocked. Maybe we have to use localhost. Maybe we have to use 0.0.0.0. Maybe, I don't know, the flag is being hosted on a container somewhere else and we have to do some crazy internal IP fuzzing. Probably not, but you know, anything can happen. Localhost, and this is why we go step by step, because otherwise you won't know where the problem is when you run into one. And you know, on a simple CTF it's not a big deal, but like on a actual target, well, even on CTFs you can easily get lost. What am I doing? So we've got fetch, then, and then we want something like if response dot status is 200, like this. I should do this in Visual Studio Code, but whatever, it's fine. Return response dot text, then data like this. I keep getting my like special characters messed up. And then what we want to do from here is grab this like this. So, and we're going to put an else statement in as well, just to make sure, because if we write some code and our JavaScript isn't correct, it's just going to error out. It's not going to fire. And then we'll just get no response back. And we'll be like, we don't know what's going on. Oh, somebody's come to say hello. Look, here you go. Cat tax. Oh, where are you going, huh? Yeah, go on. Off you go. I'll get her while she's here, because otherwise, I don't know. She's just going crazy at the moment. It's because it's like 5 o'clock in the UK and it's getting dark now, and that's like prime hunting hours. So so that's it. I think like some people like, hey, don't lick the camera. Some people are like, our cats are nocturnal, but it's not nocturnal. There's a particular thing for it where they're active at dawn and dusk, and then basically the rest of the time they're like, any time is sleep time. She's settling on my lap now. She's so cute. I wonder if like you can, if I go down here like this, which is kind of weird, you can see her chilling out down there. So there you go. Oh, my camera auto flips, which is kind of interesting. There we go. So here, we just want another fetch and test equals bad times like this. We could also add in like a catch error and stuff like this, but I think this should do the trick. Let me just check. So we're going to fetch the flag. Then with the response, if the response is 200, response dot text, then data. And the reason I'm doing this is because once we've got this working, we're going to try and exfiltrate the actual flag information. But I don't know. Let's see if this works or not. And if not, we'll I've probably typoed something wrong looking at it. There's at least a 50% chance that something's broken. Oh, is this the new one or is this? Oh, that looks like it's correct. Okay, hold on. Let's do success 1, 2, 3 like this. Another thing to think about when you're doing CTFs, yeah, look, so we are able to get the flag. So we've actually confirmed that we can grab the flag and it returns a 200 OK, not a 401, which I think is really important. But also something to think about with this is if your syntax is only a little bit off, your whole script will crash and would get nothing back. And also when you're testing for cross-site scripting, if you're sending multiple payloads and they're getting rendered on the screen, and you do something like an alert box as the first one, and then the others are rendered after it as the DOM loads, the alert box is going to freeze everything. So you're going to send, or if you do like location as well, which is a good way to confirm whether you can attack somebody or not, you do the location, but then that forwards them away from the page, and then your subsequent payloads aren't going to work. So just something to think about for CTFs and things like this. So it's all good. All right, so what do we want to do next? We want to do something like, I think we can just do flag equals, and then is it encode URI like this? Or is it something else? Let me Google search encode URI JavaScript. Oh yeah, we can just encode URI. Or is it, what am I looking for? Encode URI component. Is that what I want? Something like this? Just because otherwise we're not going to get our request through. Not sure. I can't remember. I can't remember the difference between the two. Let's try it, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. Oh, that was fast. We got a flag straight away. Yeah, and we get this flag. Nice. Now, obviously, this is URL encoded. So we could use something like CyberChef to decode this, or we could just use a little bit of command line jujitsu. And you know what? For fun, let's do node-e and do something like console.log decode URI components. I'm only doing this because we actually just used the encode URI components function, and we can just do the same thing, and it decodes. So this is basically the reverse of wait, where's our payload gone? Of what our payload does here. So because Node is basically just JavaScript. It's kind of basically just JavaScript. That's what I tell myself anyway. All right, let's see whether it's correct. Oh, that's it. And we're done. Only one flag. Nice 30 points. And that's today's box. Whew, that was quite an interesting one. So I kind of did it in like a, I mean, if I was just approaching this box, I would probably just be like, blah, 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 write script, copy, paste from notes and try and solve it. But I think it is like really important to think through what do you have? What are you trying to do? And then do it in steps, because if I copy and paste something like this, but something is slightly off, or if there's some kind of issue, let's say we didn't have the check for the response status 200. Maybe the admin, maybe the user that we're attacking can't access the flag. We wouldn't know, and we'd be no closer to solving the box. So I think adding like checks along the way to make sure we fully understand what's happening under the hood, especially when you have blind attacks like this, could be like blind SQL injection, could be like blind XSS like we have here, I think is just a really, really important mindset that you need to develop if you want to get good at capture the flag pen testing. It's like the curiosity / troubleshooting mindset that, you know, just comes with practice. But forcing yourself to think methodically, I think is really, really important. All right, let's take a bunch more questions because I think there's about 400 questions pinned. So let's go. Oh, you're watching the 3-year-old hacking video. Is it worth it? Yeah, it's definitely worth it, yo. 100%. And to be honest, the fundamentals of pen testing and hacking haven't changed, like especially over a few years. So, you know, new things come out, new CVs happen, technology changes, but the actual fundamentals, you know, injection attacks are still injection attacks, regardless of whether they're like SQL injection or template injection or cross-site scripting. It's all kind of like the same thing, really. All right, I'm going to flip over to the pinned questions. Oh, can we talk about memory buffer overflows? Maybe next time. It's been so long since I've done a buffer overflow. It's probably like, I mean, it's definitely last year because it's only January, but yeah, it's not something I do that often. Let me scroll down. Oh, I'm a cybersecurity intern at a startup. We're a small team working on SAML and auditing. Nice. How can I upscale personally? So if you're working in a small team, what I would say is try and carve out something that you enjoy and you're really good at and become like the specialist in that area. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, it makes you really indispensable in your job. You can't, like, you know, be shunned because you're the only person who can do it. And two, it gives you a lot to talk about when you're in an interview, even if it's not directly related to, like, you know, maybe you're not working on SAML or something in your next role. But if you can be like, hey, I was the guy who did this, and I researched this, and I know all of this, they'll be like, yeah, he's a smart person. You know, and those are kind of like transferable skills that are going to be useful in your next role. So I would say that try and pick something and be like really good at that one thing. I think that's something that I've been reasonably good at across roles I've had in the past, is that I've gotten good at stuff that other people might not care about or something like this. And that's it. Let me keep scrolling down. Okay, I can see so many questions. I'm gonna have to pick a few. So sorry if I'm gonna cherry pick a little bit. Will TCM have more upcoming Blue Team courses? Yes. So Andrew Prince is currently, he's doing live training as we speak. I'm sure it's going really well. But we'll have a SOC 201 at some point as well in the coming months. So yeah, there's more stuff coming. Hopefully there'll also be threat hunting stuff at some point too. And oh look, we've got a kitten. Haha, I got her. There we go. More cat tags. I'll hold her like this so you guys can see. But yeah, we'll have some like threat hunting stuff coming and all sorts of things. The sky's the limit for Blue Team, and yeah, we've got some cool stuff planned. So. You look so confused when you're upside down, don't you? Oh, do I have a favorite question to ask in clients' kickoff calls? Yeah, so usually, back when I was pen testing a lot more or full time, honestly, a walkthrough of the target application is the biggest thing. I always make sure that I understand what the application does, and also like just talking to devs and being like, what are your biggest concerns? What are the problems you've had in the past? What are their expectations from a pen test? Because different clients are different as well. So some clients will be like, hey, yeah, we just want the report because PCI DSS. And some clients will be like, actually, we've just updated this piece of functionality, or we've just pushed this and we're not sure about it. And we really want to make sure that this is okay. And then they'll be like, here's also all of the documentation we have, you know, so kind of like building that rapport and taking an interest in what they've actually built, I think is really, really important. But yeah, for me, I think the biggest thing is if you get a walkthrough as well, the number of times I've come to test an application and the credentials don't work or the access doesn't work. If you have just a brief walkthrough of the application, that's the time where you can get something like that very quickly troubleshooted and fixed and sorted, and you don't have to send an email, waste half a day waiting for it to come back. So I think those are some of the things that I think are really things that I kick off with. Ooh, what do I prefer? Kaido, Burp Suite, or OWASP Zap? So yeah, I mean, Burp Suite is still kind of like an indispensable tool, but I think Kaido is also really, really interesting and has some cool stuff. So I have a pro license for both Burp Suite and Kaido, but I am actively using Kaido as well because I really like the workflows and I really think there are some powerful features. It's still very early, but there's a lot of exciting things coming up, and things like, for example, when you're in Burp Suite, if you're trying to fuzz something and you've got like 10 million entries in your word list, like loading that into Burp Suite is a nightmare. It's just going to die. Whereas with like Kaido, for example, or like before, we'd just use command line tools like wfuzz or ffuf or something. But with Kaido, you can load in the file and then it'll kick off its thing without being like load file and then Burp Suite just crashing because it can't handle 10 million rows of text because I don't know, it's architected differently. It's just different. So I'm still on the fence between I'm just actively using both Burp Suite and Kaido, and I think they both have different strengths. But I think Burp Suite is so much further along in terms of how many plugins, features, and things they have. I'm not quite ready to switch it off, but I'm very open to using Kaido more. So that's where I'm at. I don't use Zap at all ever. So that's where we are with Zap. Yeah, that's it. I'm not saying Zap's bad, but it doesn't give me anything that Burp Suite or other tools don't give me, if that makes sense. But I have no good reason to use Zap at the moment. So let me keep scrolling down. Ooh, do I know of any good burp extensions that help with auto highlighting, potentially interesting requests? So the only one I can think of is Auto-Rise, which isn't the same. It doesn't auto highlights, but it does obviously it sends like the second request and then it'll flag which ones are like potentially broken access control. No, I can't think of any. Not that I've used. There's the only one that I do have is the JWT extension, which highlights requests that have JSON web tokens in them, which is useful when you're entering into a new application and you want to understand which endpoints require a token, how your token's being handled, etc., etc. So that's really good. I forget whether it's JWT editor or the other one because there's a bunch of JWT plugins. But yeah, I'd be interested to know, there could be like a nice repository of like interesting string matches, like default pages, verbose error messages potentially, and stuff like that. So that could be interesting. Or like anything that says like SQL error, it gets flagged as red. Maybe this is a good project for you to build this extension. But yeah, I don't know of any off the top of my head, unfortunately. Do we have to know the front end for ethical hacking for vulnerabilities? If you're network pen testing, then no. But I think the front end is something that a lot of web app pen testers avoid. And I think the front end frameworks are becoming more complex and they're being released at light speed. And so actually, specializing in the front end or having like good front end analysis skills, I think is a really, really good skill to have, and something that I've been dabbling in and like looking more and more closely at over the last year. So yeah, maybe you don't have to, but I think it's a good idea to, because I think it's like for some reason people don't like front ends. I don't know why. But people are like, well, maybe it's just because the attack surface is a little trickier. and the impact can be also impacts can be impacted, but the impact can be lower. So maybe people just shy away from it. Everyone's like, oh, we just want RCE. But honestly, if you're a web app pen tester, RCE is like, you know, it happens rarely, but like, don't, you know, if all you want is remote code execution, then maybe look at network pen testing rather than web application penetration testing. So yeah. Ooh, good question here. So what are the different AppSec roles that exist? Are they primarily red team or blue team? Yeah, so there's, I think, a lot more to AppSec than people realize. I think I mean, obviously, like there are AppSec engineers who work as part of development teams or part of DevOps teams, part of DevSecOps teams. And their responsibilities can vary wildly. So, for example, you could be doing code review on commits. You could be responsible for integrating security tools into pipelines. And you could be responsible for like general code review, not just, you know, on commit, but like you might be analyzing the code base. You could be responsible for identifying out-of-date libraries and stuff like log4j and updating that. There are so many roles within AppSec that I think a lot of the time are taken up by engineers or developers that they just don't have AppSec in their title, but they are actually doing it. But yeah, there's loads of stuff. Everything, you know, from design to requirements gathering to threat modeling to evil user stories to integrating tools into pipelines. All of that is AppSec, and there are jobs for all of those things. Which is my background is like internal AppSec teams, which is quite fun. Something that I really enjoy. So I lost my place. Let me keep. How are we doing for time? Let's take a couple more questions. Oh, good question. So this kind of depends on you. It depends what you want out of it. I think if you're building skills for a job in security, honestly, I think TryHackme is a better place to learn more skills, more usable skills. Hack the Box is a great platform, but is it that realistic? It's good for building pen testing skills, network pen testing skills, but it's like the web content is kind of like, yeah, and there are much better places to go for web. You know, the Hack the Box Academy is also good, for sure. But I think if you're trying to build like different skills, if you're trying to work in like blue team, or if you're trying to be like a web app pen tester, or you're trying to learn about GRC, TryHackme has so much content for you. And it's more based around learning than just like a game, basically. Because, you know, I don't know, Hack the Box is kind of just a game at the end of the day. A crowdsourced game, which is kind of, you know, it's just community boxes, right? So you can go and do VulnHub and stuff like that as well. Hey, you two, calm down. Hey, stop it. All right, the bopping is starting. I don't know. They're getting fidgety. Let's take a couple more questions. Do I prepare for boxes or do you do it from scratch on live? It depends. So most of the time, I'll find a box. Somebody will recommend it to me, and they'll say like, "Oh, this is an easy box." And usually, what I just do is I make sure that it's web related, and that's it. And then I'll come and do it. But sometimes, like I'm working through a box, either I've seen it before and I think it's a really good thing, and pretty much as I'm doing boxes, I'll tell you if I know something or if I have seen it before or if I've seen a write-up. I think I'm pretty good at doing that, being like, you know, I'll have this endpoint. I'll be like, oh yeah, you can just do this, and it's because I've seen it before. So I think it's 50-50. Yeah, just depends on whether I have something prepared and whether I feel like I have some interesting insights to give, or whether we just want to have fun and see whether we can solve something or just suffer for a bit. So they both have their place, for sure. All right. Last question before we wrap up. Do you prefer white box or black box style of pen testing? Just because of my background, white box pen testing for sure. I am a big fan of code review. I like looking at code. I like analyzing it in my own time. I like running snippets. I like understanding the full technology stack. I like tracing my payloads through an application. I like all of the analysis work that comes with that. And I like going deeper rather than wider, if that makes sense. That sounds a little bit rude, but not intended at all. So yeah, I'd rather analyze, like have a look at, what are the controls for filtering? Is there some kind of like quirky edge case or bypass? But also, yeah, being able to fuzz that locally or whatever it is. But yeah, basically prefer white box pen testing. Is more my style. I think black box pen testing has its place for sure, but usually we have limited time, and usually I get better results when I'm testing an application if I have access to the source code. So that's all good. All right, and I think that's it for today. So you're gonna say goodbye, kittens. Here's one cat. The other one is sat over there. You say goodbye. She's gonna like lick my chin now. Thanks everybody for coming to the live stream. Probably see you again next week. I'm not sure exactly who's streaming next week, but one of us will be. Apologies if I didn't get to your question already. If you want to, if you have a burning question, join the Discord, and we have a Wednesday Live Vibes channel as well. So I'll probably check in there tomorrow. So if I didn't get to your question, then I'll try and answer it in there, or just come back next week and ask the same thing. And maybe Andrew Bellini or Andrew Prince or Heath will give you a completely different answer that I did. We all have our own experiences and thoughts and insights and things like this. But yeah, I appreciate you all hanging out. Hope you enjoyed today's box, and I will catch you all next time. Thanks, everyone.